In the headlines today, Joe Biden tries to save America with tyranny, Donald Trump is still literally Hitler, and Kamala Harris and Nancy Pelosi are still stunning and brave. This is the No Guns in the Kitchen podcast. My name is Matt with Maple City Firearms. Let's do some music! Guys, what's going on? So I want to get to all the gun control stuff and all the beautiful things that Joe Biden is trying to do to us in a minute, but first I want to talk about a few other things. So this is the No Guns in the Kitchen podcast, episode deuces, and I want to go ahead and address a few things. So we talked a little bit about guns last time, but we didn't talk anything kitchen related. I mean, technically we did talk about the stove gun, which, you know, everyone should obviously have, and this is my stove gun for the day. Though there's no magazine in it, this is an unloaded stove gun. It is a useless stove gun, and I'm a fraud. But I do want to talk some kitchen stuff. Yes, guys, kitchen stuff. My three favorite things about my kitchen. So this is the first home I've ever been in that has an over-the-range microwave. That's awesome. It's a huge safe spaver, and getting it off the counter so you have more counter space to put crap on or sit on. And I also like plates that, let me get those. Who makes these plates? These plates are Noritake? It looks like Noritake. Or Noritake. It's in cursive. I'm an idiot. Anyway, plates that can be used in the oven. Big deal. Obviously, you want them to be dishwasher safe. Obviously, you want them to be microwave safe. But being able to use them in the oven, that's awesome too. And the last, but certainly not least, this was a gift probably 2 or 3 Christmases ago, was this. I don't even know if it's in the frame right now, but it's the Ninja blender that I have. This thing is freaking awesome. It's the professional 1500 watts Ninja blender. So if you blend things, get one of those to blend things. Anyway, moving on from that, I still, like I said, I want to get to all the gun control stuff, but I want to talk about some nicer things first. And the next thing I want to talk about here is my son. I don't know how many of you guys have kids who are in preschool, in kindergarten, or about to start, but please, if you have any, I would love some tips in the comments. My son is 3.5. He's going to be starting preschool, August maybe? I don't know. August or September, whenever preschool starts. And it's a little nerve-wracking, you know. He has never even been to a babysitter that wasn't a family member. So we're going to be, you know, he's going to be leaving the nest in a big way for us here in a few months. The big thing for me is to try and get him all the help I can before he ever even starts. Knowing, you know, I was always academically challenged. Let's just say that. I wasn't all that good at sitting down and listening, and once I got to high school, it's just, forget about it. I was a mess. And so I really don't want my son to have the same problems I did. So I want to get him started off on the right foot. So I went ahead and did some searching online recently and tried to figure out not what they need to know in preschool, but what they need to know in kindergarten. I figure if I can get him to the point where he could probably walk into a kindergarten and do okay, then maybe he'll do fine in preschool. Maybe I'm overthinking it, maybe I'm not. So, you know, we're working on some basic math, and he's catching on to that pretty well. Reading, a little bit. He knows the letters and numbers, of course, and everything. But we're working on the sounds that the letters make and the writing. The kid doesn't like to color. The kid doesn't like to write. I don't know what to do about it. It's like, stay in the lines. Okay. It's like, no. Inside the lines. Okay. It's a disaster. I don't know what to do about it. When it comes to some of the more, complicated stuff, he loves it. But when it comes to basic stuff like coloring inside the lines, the kid is just, so we're working on it, you know. I was never very artistic either, but this kid doesn't know what lines are apparently. So I don't know, you know, and he's quite hyperactive. I can already see the teacher saying, well, maybe we have these list of drugs that you could put on. I will be there, because I'll be there for all these meetings. I will be there the day that somebody recommends to me that my son gets put on drugs, and I will do my best not to laugh and spit in their face. With that said, any tips you guys might have in getting your kid ready for preschool, I'd love to know. Fun fact, I didn't go to preschool or kindergarten. We stayed at home until first grade, so I didn't step into a school building until I was 6. I don't know if that was good, I don't know if that was bad. It is. I already told you I didn't do very well in school growing up, so maybe that answers the question. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm nervous about it. He's kind of excited, but yeah, we'll see. And then another thing to go along with that, you know, this winter has sucked. You know, I mean, for kids especially, you can't do anything. I mean, even if, you know, last winter, at least what we were able to do is we were able to go to like the mall, and they have that like playground inside the mall. But there's like almost nothing we can do. And everything's either shut down, you have to wear a mask everywhere, and it's just there's nothing for the kid to do. And it's been so freaking cold here. We're up here in northern Ohio if you're not local. It's been so freaking cold, I can't even really take him out in the snow most days because it's like 15 degrees. And it's just like, I'm cold, Dad. It's like, I know. Maybe I should get him a coat and a hat. I've heard that I just, you know, I have a bunch of coats and hats and they're all too big for him, so I don't know. Maybe I'll buy them. Maybe I'll see if they have kids' coats and hats. I'm not sure if they make those, but if they do, I'll get them. So yeah, but yeah, my point was that he hasn't really gotten much socialization in this last year because of all this COVID crap. And so this would have been a big year for him to, you know, go over to our friends' kids' houses, you know, have play dates and all that good stuff, but it's just nobody's really doing stuff like that right now. He has his cousins, and that's really good. So he spends a lot of time with them, but they're about it. He only has 2 cousins, one about a year older and one about a year younger. So we'll see what happens. I'm nervous about it, like I said, so any tips would be greatly appreciated. Done rambling about that. Let's talk about gun control. I really don't even want to. Maybe I'll just turn the camera off and just finish it here. What do you think? No. So Joe Biden, we already knew this was going to happen, so it's not a surprise. But Joe Biden decided to go ahead and you know, remind all of us that he's a big old tyrant, and he wants to go ahead and push for more gun control. He wants, what did he say? He said he wants to ban high-capacity magazines. He wants to ban assault rifles, and he wants universal background checks, or background checks for all sales, I believe was the word. Same idea, universal background checks. So first of all, let's start with the universal background checks, or the background checks for all sales. I've already had a few people talk to me about this and send me messages and send me links about it and saying, okay, well, what's the deal here? I thought we already had background checks. Well, what's going on? Okay, so here's how the background checks work real quick, guys. I don't want to really get into a whole thing. I probably will do a dedicated video just about this. But here in Ohio, at least, and different states have some different laws. But here in Ohio, you get a background check if you buy a firearm from a federally licensed dealer. Pretty much any gun shop you've ever walked into is a federally licensed dealer. Most of the guys who sell, let's say, like gun shows are federally licensed dealers. You'll do a background check when you do that. And we'll come back to that in just a minute. If you own a firearm, however, at least here in the state of Ohio, and you want to sell it to a family member, friend, co-worker, you can do that. You don't have to do a background check. You don't have the ability to do a background check on somebody anyhow. You can't, you know, so you don't have to do a background check as long as you don't knowingly sell it to someone you know isn't allowed to have the firearm, or obviously unless you stole it or something. But if you stole it, you obviously don't care about these laws anyway, which is kind of the reason that all this gun control is crap. So that's what we have right now. What they want to do is they want to make it so you can't sell it to your buddy. That in and of itself wouldn't be too awful if that were it. And I say it wouldn't be too awful. Look, I think it's all tyrannical nonsense. I think it's all infringements, okay? I don't think you should have to do background checks at all. That's my personal opinion. But I would be okay if I actually trusted that they were just going to expand the background checks to, okay, now you can't do private sales without a background check. So what we have to do now is if Bobby wants to sell to Johnny, Bobby and Johnny have to go to an FFL, federally licensed dealer, like a gun shop, and say, hey, can you facilitate this sale? They have to do some paperwork. Bada bing, bada boom, magic. 5 minutes later, you've got your gun, and there's a paper trail, and it's all taken care of, and you can sell it to your buddy. It would be an extra charge. That wouldn't be the end of the world, though I don't support it. The problem is that the stated goal of this would be to, so that we could make sure that bad guys don't have guns. It wouldn't accomplish that goal. It couldn't accomplish that goal. The only way this works is if everyone just does it. You see what I'm saying? I mean, there's no way of keeping track of it in the system that we have now. They pass this law that you have to have a background check for all sales, even private. If Bobby and Billy are sitting there and Bobby says to Billy, hey, I'm going to sell you this gun. Don't tell Biden, okay? And he's like, okay, sure. There's nothing you can do about it, okay? And while Bobby and Billy may be good guys, the reality is, guess what the bad guys are doing? If Billy is a convict, okay, and Bobby doesn't give a shit, Bobby says to Billy, hey, I'm going to sell you this gun. I know you're a convict, but I don't give a crap. And Billy's like, yeah, I don't give a crap either. If we did a background check, I'd fail. All right, let's do this deal. See what I'm saying? It doesn't do anything. It's a neat idea. You can just throw it out there. You have to do a background check now. And the bad guys say no. And a lot of the good guys also say no. And then what do? You can't do anything. The only way to actually verify that all this is being done, the only way to actually push this through is through gun registration. They know this. They're aware of this. They know that just universal background checks in and of themselves are useless without registration. They want registration. Now, they've admitted that they want registration. But he didn't mention registration in this particular statement that he made today. So, whenever, it may have been a few days ago by the time I actually get this posted. As a matter of fact, it's going to be a few days before I actually get this posted. I've got a lot going on, sorry. And I have tension problems. Speaking of which, just a minute. You know what's funny is you guys probably going to think I did that on purpose. Well, that wasn't worth it. I'll clean that up later. You want to know what it was? I'll tell you what it was. Actually, it's so funny that this is what it was. These are Snapple caps. I'm not going to tell you why I keep the Snapple caps, but I do. There was a big bag of them. It was on the refrigerator. It was magneted. There was a magnet holding it to the refrigerator. I was going into the refrigerator to get a Snapple that I was drinking earlier, and I knocked over all the Snapple caps. Now, that's God's way of telling me, Matt, don't do weird things like jump out of frame to get a Snapple in the middle of doing your video that you're not going to edit. So anyhow, what was I talking about? Oh, okay, so yes, it always is going to lead to registration. It's the only way they can actually get any of this stuff to make any sense. They might deny it a little bit, but I don't think they would. I don't think if you really put their feet to the fire, which nobody does, of course, that this would happen. And here's part of the problem, going back into debating. And I talked, no, actually I didn't talk in that video, never mind. But one of the issues I have when it comes to gun control is that nobody really understands it. The right or the left, nobody really gets it. So nobody, even in a debate setting, really holds the other person accountable for what they're saying as far as their gun control agenda goes. Okay, everyone just speaks in these very broad terms like, we need common sense gun control. I believe in the Second Amendment. I support the people's right to keep and bear arms. Okay, great. Now let's get to the nitty gritty and actually talk about these details, but they can't, they don't know how to. And so then I have to do these videos, and everyone falls asleep while I'm doing the videos because it's complicated, it's long, drawn out. But that's the problem with the universal background checks in a nutshell. We could talk for a whole nother hour about that. And as we know, historically, gun registration leads to confiscation. So, Universal background checks leads to registration, which leads to confiscation. How do we know this? History. Okay, the next thing he wants to do. What did I say he wanted to do? Oh, yeah, the assault weapons ban. We don't know exactly what that would look like. We know what assault weapon bans have looked like in the past. That wouldn't be allowed. And it's nonsense. So we actually had an assault weapons ban in the 90s. There was really no notable change. And there's no reason to believe there would be. So here's the deal with the assault weapons. Let's simplify for the sake of the argument. They just say no AR-15s. It wouldn't be that simple, but let's say it were, just for the sake of the argument. So no more of these guys, right? And or gal. Let me see. It's a girl, actually. Didn't know that. So let's say for the for sake of the argument, this gal over here was I completely lost my train of thought because I was trying to do a stupid joke. Okay, so the AR-15s. So let's say that they were able to ban all AR-15s. Okay, let's say they were able to wipe them off the face of the earth. And let's say that rather than all the crimes that were going to be committed with those AR-15s, obviously they would realistically just go grab another gun and commit the exact same crime. But let's say for the sake of the argument, they decided, no, it actually worked. The gun control actually worked. This is a fantasy world where the gun control actually works. And they're able to get rid of all the AR-15s and all the crimes that would have been affiliated with those AR-15s. Banished off the face of the earth. And all those guys who were going to kill people with AR-15s, they decided to be monks or something, and they converted and they said, you know what, I don't want to hurt anybody anymore because AR-15s don't exist. And let's say that happened. Fantasy world, I get it, but let's say it happened. It would still account for like 5% or less of gun crimes. I mean, the statistics change every year, obviously it's different. It's such a minuscule number of gun deaths in this country are caused by semi-automatic rifles, okay? And then even less actually caused by AR-15s because there's lots of different types of semi-automatic rifles. So the reality is, even in a fantasy world, where all those things come together and they're able to get all of them, which they can't, and those people that were going to commit crimes with the AR-15s aren't going to anymore, which they still would because they just use a different type of gun. Even in that fantasy world, it still doesn't fix the problem. So it's you know, it's scary. I know, it's so scary. This girl is so terrifying that they're able to convince so many people that this is the thing we need to ban. That just, nobody needs that. How many times have you heard someone say nobody needs that? It's like, who gives a crap? We don't need any of this stuff. This is America. This is a capitalist haven that has given us fruit by the foot, 17 different flavors of Doritos, Netflix, Disney World, Disneyland, a theme park in every major city. I mean, it's just insane the things we have in this country, okay? How many TVs do you have right now? Are you walking around with a computer in your pocket? You're probably using that computer to watch this video. It's insane the types of things we have in this country that we don't need. We don't need to give a reason for why we have things. You need to give me a reason for why I can't. I'm not hurting anyone with this. And if I were, it wouldn't be a good guy, I can assure you of that. Anyway, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but just want to get that off my chest. In the magazine thing, we've heard numbers like capacity of 10, and I love the way he talks about it. He's like, capacity of 10 rounds in a clip magazine of 50 cal, man. In the magazine and it's starting to turn to Bill Cosby and the Jello. But he doesn't know what he's talking about, obviously. But that's neither here nor there. He even said one time, he's like, and even that's too many. It's like, yeah, oh, you're such a gracious tyrant. Thank you so much. Even that's too many. So the magazine ban, I mean, they don't even have a clue how many magazines are out there. They wouldn't be able to gather the magazines. They wouldn't even try. You'd probably be grandfathered in. In which case, I have to ask, what on earth do you think it's going to do? I mean, if you think about all the guns that are out there, about 400 million in this country, and then you think about all the magazines, every single one of those guns comes with at least one. A lot of them come with more than one. And then most people who buy them buy extras, okay? Most people, I'm not gonna tell you how many magazines I have, but let's just say, I would say that most gun enthusiasts have probably 10 magazines per gun. So you do that math, guys. It's insane how many magazines we have. There's some rough numbers. Those rough numbers don't even come close. People have no idea how many magazines are out there. It's crazy. So the idea that banning them would do anything is just asinine. No, listen. The only real solution, if you really just want to stop people from killing people with guns, is you have to round them all up. You have to, I'm tossing you guys a bone here. I'm tossing the anti-gunners a bone. I'm giving you the answer. You have to go and round up every single gun. Now, I don't know how you're going to do it, and lots of people are going to die. Lots of good people. All right? Lots of police, lots of civilians, lots of military, a lot of federal agents. A lot of people would end up dying, and it would be needless. But that would be how you would have to do it. You'd have to round them up. Otherwise, you're just playing games. You're just playing games just to try to appease people who are scared. And you're here to pretend like you have the answer. You don't, though. You don't. Again, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I don't know, share it with your anti-gun friends. Don't share this stuff with your anti-gun friends, because I'm not using a lot of tact here. Maybe I'll do another video where we can sort of talk about this stuff in more detail, and I'll be a little more tasteful in my presentation. I don't have anything else to talk about. What I would really like is if you guys could help me out in the comments and give me some topics. I know I said last time that I'd probably ignore your topics, but I won't ignore your topics, because I've actually decided I'm going to do more of these videos than I originally planned. I'm going to try and do a few a week. And so because of that, I'm going to need some topics to talk about. I can talk forever about something, I just need the something, okay? So, to wrap everything up, make sure you have good plates that can be cooked in the oven. Did I say that they can be cooked in the oven? They can go in the oven. You don't need to cook the plates, but you can put those plates in the oven and actually cook stuff. For leftovers, this is a game changer, guys. I'm telling you, it's crazy. I never knew it even existed. Never. It's amazing. So yeah, that's a thing. My son's going to school, and I'm nervous about it, and I could use some input. And Joe Biden's a douchebag. That's it. Thanks, guys.